Hello everyone, we are at Busby Farm to look at the sheep and the goats. This is Luke Webers. He's the one that manages the farm and all the sheep and the cattle.
Hi class, like Dr. Icahn said, my name's Luke Wilbers. I'm actually the assistant farm manager out here at the Lincoln University Busby Farm. What's unique about this farm out here is it's actually a certified organic farm. So everything we have, it's 300 some acres, all of it is certified organic. Some of the livestock we run out here is a Katahdin sheep, which you might see in the background, but we run Katahdin sheep. A little background on Katahdin sheep, and most people think sheep, they think wool, sheep you have to shear and stuff like that. Katahdin sheep are unique. They are known as a hair breed, so they actually lose all their hair and in the summertime when it gets hot, so you don't need to shear them. Wool sheep you do have to shear, so they're an added benefit. They're less labor intensive, they do good in hot, humid climate, and they're dual purpose. They are a meat breed. Most people use them for meat. Some people might try to milk them, but mostly just a meat breed. On the cattle side, we do run cows out here too. They're called the South Pole cows, which is another breed that's unique to the state of Missouri. South Pole, for those who aren't familiar with it, they're actually known as a composite breed. So it's 4 breeds of cattle combined into one. So it's the Hereford Red Angus, which is pretty known in the state of Missouri, but then it's also a Berzona Cinepol, so it's 4 breeds mixed into one. They were bred specifically to do good in hot, humid climates and to do well on fescue, which is what we have here in the state of Missouri. I think 75% of the state is fescue. So we run a breed of cattle here that does really well in the climate and on the forage that's available to them. And that's one of the big things Lincoln Ag focuses on, more of a sustainable ag. We run livestock that do well in the climate they're exposed to and do well on the forages that are available to them. And they're not too labor intensive. We do a lot of rotational grazing, so it helps the soil quality, helps the environment quite a bit. And that's just kind of what we do. The organic side of it, once again, noted that Busby Farm is certified organic. Very little inputs. We don't use any antibiotics on any of our livestock. It's all pretty well grass-based, grass-fed, and we do a lot of research. We do out-of-season breeding with the sheep as far as seeing if we can get an out-of-season lamb. And when I say out-of-season lamb, when you think sheep and goats, they're known as in-season breeders. They only breed when the daylight is short, so they're very comparable to a white-tailed deer. We actually have made it to where we breed them out of season, so we'll breed them when the daylight is long and get an out of season lamb crop, which matches up kind of with the market demand a little bit in December. So one of the things we look at is what is our economic value on sheep breeding them out of season. On the goat side, we don't have any goats here right now. The goats actually get switched. Lincoln has three farms, and we bring the goats in right now to do a lot of pasture cleanup. Goats are great for doing any weed or getting rid of weeds and forage cleanup. Yeah, weed control. Thank you. But they do great on weed control. They eat a lot of stuff your cattle don't eat. So we like to do a co-species grazing where we run the cattle with the sheep and the goats. The goats and sheep eat forage that the cattle normally won't eat, so they actually work great together. And not only that, when you start throwing in health factors, sheep and goats are extremely vulnerable to parasites. Cows can actually take in the sheep parasites, sheep and goat parasites, and destroy them, whereas we get a dual benefit there. So we were able to run sheep and goats and cows together in a co-species grazing system. The sheep and goats eat the plant, the forage that is less desirable to the cattle. That cattle then come in and eat the parasites that can hurt the sheep and goats. So it's a big grazing system. It's things we really look at here at Lincoln to kind of help the small ruminant people and small ruminant producers, because one thing we really want to focus on here at Lincoln is to help benefit the people who only have 5 to 10 acres who don't have the access to run a bunch of cows. Well, they might have access to run a bunch of sheep or goats. So it's one of the big things we focus here at Lincoln. So as I mentioned, we run South Pole cattle here at Lincoln University Busby Farm. And actually the cattle, they spread out. We rotate them between all 3 farms. South Pole, it's actually a South Pole bull bred to Angus cows to get South Pole Angus calves. And the big thing about the South Pole breed is, as I mentioned earlier, they're a composite breed. It's 4 breeds mixed into one to make one specific breed. South Poles, they do well in Missouri because they thrive on fescue grass, fescue forage. They're very heat tolerant, so they'll typically go out when it's hot outside. They will typically go out and graze. Today they're in the shade, but typically they're out grazing. One other benefit that's crucial to mention about South Pole is South Pole cattle or small frame cattle. And when I talk about benefit, a small frame cow, a smaller cow doesn't eat as much forage. So you're able to run smaller frame cows, more smaller frame cows compared to big frame cows, where in an environment or setting you can run 55 large frame cows. You can go in with South Poles and maybe run 60, 65, depending on forage availability. The South Pole is strictly a meat breed. You don't milk them, but they're also very docile, very gentle. You can usually go right in, pet them. They're very gentle. You can move them easy and everything like that. And once again, cattle are here to benefit our small ruminants. They do a great job. They eat the small ruminant parasites and act as a vacuum cleaner, and they just really serve a purpose. And they can really do a good improving the forage quality too, where they can actually go through and actually on a wet days almost act as a natural tiller as far as cultivating the soil and helping forage quality in that aspect. So we do run cattle here. I think we have roughly 40 mature cows, and then when we calve out the calves come here and we rotate them in with their small ruminants.
So is there a point where you sell this cattle, other for food?
The South Pole, it's a hard sell to cattle people around here because everybody's so strict on black cattle, black Angus. They bring more at the market. But from a producer, in my standpoint, when we talk sustainability, if you can run, say it goes back to the large frame cows. If you have 55 large frame cows, so 55 1,400 pound cows, a cow roughly eat 4 to 6% of its body weight. So when you're talking how much a 1,400 pound cow eats, whereas a South Pole or even a South Pole crossed on a small frame Angus, these cows' mature weight might only be 900 pounds. Well, a 900 pound cow eating 4 to 6% of its body weight is a lot less than a 1,400 pound cow. Now, one thing you'll kind of get critiqued on, and you can always get a red cow genetics. If you take a red cow and you breed it to a black bull, you're going to get a black calf, so it's still going to bring a premium at the market. The thing is, the calf might be a little smaller, but at the same time, if you look at cattle prices and you watch the cattle market throughout the year, sometimes a 400 pound calf isn't selling for much less than a 500 pound calf. And then you throw in the aspect you have 10 more calves because you ran more small frame cows. Well, there's a little more added profit to it. But we don't, Lincoln University, we want to be the #1 leader in small ruminant research. But cows just add an additional benefit to small ruminants from a parasite standpoint, and then from a forage standpoint. We don't use fertilizers. We don't do stuff like that. It's just the manure from cows covers a lot more ground, stuff like that.
So do you have a breeding program, like or interbreed between the...
Our breeding program for the cows is, so our mature cows are over at Freeman or Clark Farm. I don't know where Jeremiah has them right now. And usually about November 15th, we'll introduce a South Pole bull. The mature cows, like I said, some are smaller frame Angus. I can't remember the bloodline specific. And then we have Angus South Pole cross cows. So then we breed them back to a South Pole. So you're getting roughly a 3/4 South Pole or half South Pole calf, roughly. So you're still getting, once again, back to the market value for if you watch anything on a commercial where they say Angus beef. Well, for something to come through the cell barn and be considered Angus beef, and it's no critique to Angus beef, it has to just have black hide. Not just black hide, there's all kinds of other elements, but if it comes in with black hide, it's going to sell as a black Angus calf, most likely, compared to the red-hided calf. The black-hided calf's going to bring 10 to 15 cents more a pound than the red-hided calf. So, from a market standpoint and profitability, just the way the market is now, and depending on what market you go to, what cell barn, it may not vary that much, but you're still talking a black calf bringing more money than a red one.
Thank you very much. Thank you.